Well, I think I'm going to title this video, "The Auction Strikes Back." So I finally got me a bad deal. Bought this thing at an auction down in New York. State of New York DOT auction. And, you know, I thought it was a good deal until I got it back here. And I think the auction finally got me once. I usually do all right at these auctions, any auctions. So I try to stay away from stuff like this, but finally they got me. So this was down there, and I've needed one of these to move things around. I don't have anything like all this stuff up here. I gotta move like those generators and other stuff. I just want to be able to move stuff around. Plus I'm gonna build a shop and an addition on that house hopefully next year, but we'll see how that goes. So I bought it and I figured it'd be pretty useful for all that. And it's a nice machine. It's a Pettibone B66C telehandler, rough terrain forklift, whatever you want to call it. It's got the Cummins 4BT, which is a nice little motor, runs good, and it's got this boom here. It can, I think it goes out total of 35 feet. Of course, you probably got, I don't know, 16, 18 feet of machine here. So, but you can lift it way up, and like I had it stuck out all the way down by that pile of rock right there. But anyway, so I'm at the auction and we're bidding on this, and you know, it's me and somebody else. Everybody bid up to about 7,000, and then it was just me and another person bidding. And well, she bid up to 9. No, she bid up to 85. I bid 9. Then she bid 95. And so I'm sitting there thinking, and I'm like, oh, well, what do I do? I'd really like one of these, but we're getting up where I'm not so comfortable. And so finally I said, okay, whatever, I'll bid 10. Fortune favors the bold, right? So anyways, I bid 10 on this thing. And then, yeah, she didn't bid again, which is lucky for her. I should have let her have it at 95. And so I won it. I was the proud owner. I had to pay, I think, I don't know, auction fees and whatever. But so then I said, okay, well, we're gonna go down and get it. So there's some guys up here that do some trucking, so I called them. They got a nice Peterbilt. Well, they got a bunch of nice trucks, but the guy drives a nice Peterbilt, and the seat on them Peterbilt's a passenger seat. If they got a bunk, the seat is so close to the dash, so I didn't ride down with him. I drove down in front of him. Plus that way I could look for the DOT. But anyways, I get down there. This is 4 days later, 4 or 5 days later after I bought it. And it's the last day that you could pick stuff up before they decided they were going to keep it. They give you 4 business days. So anyways, I get down there, I start it up, I go to drive it, and this tire right here is locked right up. So she's just skidding along. I mean, I can still drive it, but that tire right there, just skidding along. And so then, get it on the trailer, and we get it up here, and I unloaded it out here, and got it in the driveway. But anyways, it was snapping and popping, and so this is what we got. See that? Look at that in pieces right there. So those are all the planet gears. This is the planetary, and I don't know, this is the sun gear. I gotta take this thing apart. And this I think this is called the bull gear, whatever. And then those are the planets, and those gears they ride on M3 pins. And there's a planetary reducer anyway. So it was snapping and popping, tire was locked up, grinding that stuff all up right there. So I took it all apart, and I called Pettibone. And they said, well, this thing's so old, we don't really deal with parts too much. But they give me a guy's number down in, I think, Maryland. I guess he's deals with a lot of these old machines. So he knew what I needed. And he figured he was going to see what he had and get back to me. He had some used stuff. So he calls me today. So a new planetary, I don't even think that includes the sun gear. I think it's just the bowl gear and the planets and the pins there. I don't even think it includes the cover. With $6,800. And so then I was like, okay, so what's a used one? He said 60% of what a new one is. So I don't know, it's got to be in the 4s. I was like, nah, that's way too much. I said, I'm gonna see what I can do. So I don't know. I'm calling around seeing if I can find them. I mean, I think these look the same as some I've seen on old Timberjacks, so I should be able to find one. But yeah, so this is how this is going with this machine. And then of course we got this issue too. So I was playing around with the boom because it was like a big kid with a new toy. You know what I mean? So I had the boom. I was playing around with it, and then I was looking at oil leaking right out of the back here. So right there, see all that oil in there? So that, it looks like it's leaking around the piston, but I talked to that guy, he's an expert on these, the guy that has the planetaries, and he said may not be, it may be the hoses right there. See, those hoses look pretty cracked, and those ought to be interesting to change, I think. But yeah, I don't know if you can see in there. I'm always, this camera, I'm never too good at getting it in the right spot, but yeah, those hoses that are on those reels there or whatever are could be leaking. So he told me to put the boom straight up in the air overnight and let all the oil drain out of the back there, and then start it up the next morning, start operating the fork, you know, the tilt up here. So that's what those hoses are for. Those hoses are for this piston here that does the tilt. So he said start operating that, and if it starts leaking, then you know it's them hoses. So anyways, that's gotta do that too. But yeah, this is working out to be not a very good deal. And the funny thing was, is I was at the auction when I picked it up, and then one of the heads of the head guys of the place, it was a dumb DOT regional place, I guess. I don't know how they work it over there. And he came out, and he was going through looking at all the stuff that was left still and writing it down. I don't know, doing inventory on it or whatever. I guess if you didn't get it out within that last day there, supposedly it was supposed to go back to being property of the state. But anyway, I told him, I says, yeah, I bought this thing and front tire's locked up. He said, yep. When they brought it here and unloaded off the trailer, that front tire was locked up. I said, well, they never put that in the description. Usually they list the defects so you can get some kind of idea of what you're buying, but they got me on this one anyway. So I guess that's the way it is. Anyway, that's just my my auction rant. We'll be checking back in on this thing from time to time, see if I can get it back together. I'm back over here to the job. I'm trying to clean this thing up and get out of here, but I'm over here to do a little wrenching. This loader here is right in the middle of the landing. It's dead. We tried to get it so we could move it with the truck, get the legs picked up and get the boom sat where it goes. So that usually, the bucket usually sits up there, and of course we had to get the legs up, so we ran it a little, and it finally come apart. So now I gotta we got it all tore apart, and we'll take a look at that in a minute. But we've been cleaning this up, trying to get out of here so we can well, I don't know, get on to another job, but it's so wet and I don't really have another job yet. But we've done some excavating, and Rob drove the excavator, not me, because I'm not an excavator operator. But we had to do some water bars to get this ditch open back up. It's all this brush right here we pounded in here because it was so muddy all the time. And when we went to ditching, it doesn't work good ditching in brush. But yeah, we did some water bars and trying to close this out. And then we got this pile down here. it's pretty much all just garbage. And that always ends up being a problem, that stuff at the end of a job. There's no good bank to push it off of here. But anyway, that's how it goes. But look at how wet this landing is. It's just been like this all year, just wet. Anyways, we'll go down and take a look at that excavator. So what we got here is a Caterpillar 310. It's got steel tracks, but it's got this rubber bolted to it. Street pads, I don't know, I think that's what they call it, but that stuff is garbage in the woods. And I guess it's all right for if you're unloading or working on pavement or something, but we rented this excavator to do the closeout here on this job up in the woods, water bars and crossings and all that. So yeah, it's not a bad machine. It's pretty new. I was pretty nervous about this thing, but I didn't run it. I'm not an excavator operator, and I figured probably ought not to be to learning how to run an excavator up in the woods on a rented machine. It could cost me quite a bit, but yeah. So this is the 310. It cost us probably, I think it was $500 a day. Well, that's 8 hours in a 24-hour period, and then like 150 each way for trucking. But the guy hasn't come got it yet from the rental place. Anyway, so yeah, that's the excavator. I don't really know much about them, but it did a nice job. The foresters nowadays, they're requiring excavators a lot to do the closeout. They like it better than dozers, I guess. I could do it with a dozer, but I guess a dozer wouldn't be good enough. Anyway, so that's the 310. So anyways, back to the loader. And what we have is after I run it this winter, I come back over here when I was going to do firewood, and I started it up, and it sounded like the freaking rod was about to come through the block, and it was shaking. But the thing is, I looked, I had oil pressure. So usually if you spun a bearing, you don't have oil pressure. But I took this oil pan off. I don't know, you probably can't see it because it's so the sun. But I took that off, and there's nothing wrong under there. All the bearings are good. There was a little bit of metal filings in the bottom because I just rebuilt this motor, and it's probably got, I don't know, 100 hours on it. I mean, I don't use it much because mostly I just use it for sorting wood. I don't have the slasher for it anymore. I sold it, so I only use it for sorting woods. And we didn't really set the world on fire this winter, kind of picking around at the end of the job. But so probably put about 120 hours, so it still had the break-in oil in it. And I had put I'd done a whole rebuild, new pistons, sleeves, or liners, whatever you want to call them, and new cam lifters. Had the head done. So there was a little bit of metal filings in the bottom. I guess that's normal on a rebuild. You wouldn't think so. So the shaking actually come from this flywheel. So that's the flywheel to it. I don't know if you can see that. I'm kind of like in the view here. Let me get up on here. Yeah, this truck's like my platform lift. I don't have a lift, so I'm using this. Makes it a lot easier working up here. So yeah, the shaking was because of the flywheel, and that's an old twin disc clutch. I don't know a lot about them. I don't really like them, but I guess for this they work good. But you'll see right now what the problem is. We took this all apart yesterday, me and Rob, because we gotta get this loader so it runs, so we can get it folded up, so we can get it down the road. But yeah, there's the pump. It's an old vane pump. But you can see right there, all the bolts are sheared off in the crank. See that? Every bolt sheared off. And so what the must be the guy that rebuilt this motor. He didn't tighten those bolts to the correct torque on that flywheel. That's what, I don't know, that's the only thing I think that'll cause it. So yeah, fire that idiot anyway. But anyways, so that's today's project. Gotta try to get these out. We'll try to get them out with a chisel if we can get them start turning. If not, we'll have to use a drill, an easy outs, I don't know. Can't really use any heat because I don't really want to have to replace the rear main again. Even though I do got the tool for doing it, but if I can get away without it, it'd be better. So I don't really want to use any heat on there. So welding the nut on, probably not. Or yeah, well, you can't heat them. If you heat it up, it's not gonna help. So that's today's project. Just a little project here. I'll shoot what video I can get of it. These hoses are kind of in the way here, so we'll see what we get for video. But yeah, that's what I'm gonna give it a try. Hopefully it goes good. I don't know, because the dowel pin came out in the flywheel here. Let me flip this flywheel over. Covered in grease. Story of my life. Anyway, so yeah, see that dowel pin right there belongs in the crank. It stayed in the flywheel. I guess it's better than having sheared off. Then somehow that clutch, these are like fiber, these gears are fiber. Somehow this meshes in with this. I'm not really an expert on these twin discs. But yeah, you can unbolt all this. Probably should check those and make sure those are torqued to the correct torque. But yeah, so let's get at it. So yeah, in order to do this job, since my other drill burned up, I had a Milwaukee that was I don't know, it's just a cheap 1/2-inch drill. It had brushes. I bought this yesterday. And it's a Milwaukee, another Milwaukee, because I got to stick with Milwaukee because that's what I have for batteries and tools. And I used to have DeWalt, but I changed to Milwaukee when they were good, but I don't know about how good they are now. But this one right here is a, I don't know, 1/2-inch drive. It's brushless. That's why I bought it, because it's brushless. So we're gonna see how this works. I gotta use this to drill out the holes for the easy out to take those bolts out. But yeah, it come with 2 batteries, but these are just small batteries. They're little 2 amp hour batteries, so you know, not the greatest. And then of course another Milwaukee charger. But yeah, anyways, the tool only was like 189 and all this was 199, so I guess I figured I might as well buy this. But like these soft bags, they don't last long. The zippers usually start messing up, but I got the hard case from the other one, so I'm sure it'll fit in there. So yeah, we'll give it a try and see what it amounts to. So, you know, this is one of those jobs that can go either way. Either it's going to go good and stuff's going to come out, or things are going to break, easy outs, bits, whatever, and turn into a nightmare. So hopefully it goes good. So this is what I got, you know, stuff kicking around. I got this, I don't know, some kind of easy out set here. Of course, it's missing number 3. And then this one, and this one looks like it's missing number 4, so between those 2, we should have something that'll go in there. It's just those things you got to be careful, because if the bolts are coming out hard and you break the easy out in there, then you're really in trouble. And then I got, well, this is a cheesy horror freight drill bit set, so I don't got a lot of faith in that. Those don't seem to work too good. And then I got this old drill index. I got some kind of machine shop auction, and I don't know, something in there will work probably. Then I bought these yesterday because I know probably don't have an 1/8 bit that's worth anything. And then I bought that quarter. And then of course, here's a punch from Horror Freight, the center punch, and that thing isn't going to punch very good, so I have to grind that down. They get, I don't know, some of their tools are all right, but you gotta be careful what you buy. You know, these This punch and chisel set is just too soft. It's really just junk. So I've been really not shopping there too much lately. I mostly try to get all my stuff at sales and auctions, because the good old American tools, there's nothing like them. But anyway, so this is the stuff I'm going to try, and hopefully this goes well. So anyway, here's the bolts that broke off in that crank. So these two here must have broke off pretty early, because, you know, they're quite a bit, almost dropped out. They're quite a bit longer than that one, than those two. So those ones must have broke off first, and then actually these ones broke off last. Come to think of it, because they were further out, and these ones broke off first. So there's more of these bolts in there. So anyway, I don't know how hard they are. I don't know the lines on them, how to tell. They're probably pretty hard though. So hopefully they drill all right. But yeah, anyway, so, you know, I'm not a professional mechanic. I'm just a guy with some wrenches. But you know, this job, I should have done it right the first time. Now I'm paying the price. And then, you know, I probably forgot to torque those to the right torque, and so you know, they loosened up and broke off. I don't know if I should use Loctite on them. I didn't bring the book. I'm not going to install it today anyway. But you know, you can pay a professional mechanic. You know, I don't even know what they get now. They come out here and deal with this, probably $90 to $100 an hour, and they charge you from when they to leave the shop to when they get back to the shop. And you know, that's an awful lot of money. That could add up in a hurry. And, you know, in this business, you really don't make that kind of money. So, you know, you kind of got to end up being your own mechanic. But sometimes you, like, I think it was when I rebuilt this motor in one spot. Then I hauled it over here to put it in the loader. And I think I put the flywheel on over there, but I didn't have my torque wrench, so I didn't torque the bolts. And when I got over here, I forgot that and put the clutch on it. And I think that's what happened. So yeah, anyway, I should have torqued the bolts as tight as I could with my gun, and probably wouldn't be doing this now. But you can pay a guy to do a job, and, you know, he can mess something up, and you could end up tearing it all back apart and paying him again, because usually mechanics I've dealt with, they don't go good for, it's always some other reason. Couple different times in life. One time I had a motor rebuilt. It was a 3406 Caterpillar in an old freightliner, and maybe I'll throw a picture in that log truck. Actually, that log truck, I was on a job up in Richmond, and that log, I was using that. I hauled the logs with that. It didn't have a loader on the trailer, and I parked it one night down the bottom of the hill, because we had one hell of a hill to go down, and you had to be all chained up, and sometimes you had to let the truck down with a skidder, even depending on the how icy the road was. But yeah, so I parked it down the bottom of the road and took the chains off, and I was gonna haul it out to the mill in the morning, because you couldn't go to the mill at night because there's nobody there to unload you. We had a mill called Manchester Lumber. They're no longer in business. But so anyways, that truck, the tree had come down, and the wind blew that night and broke a pine off about 16 foot up, and whole tree come down, landed right on the cab. It's just my luck. Anywhere else on that truck, on the log trailer, or even the hood wouldn't have been as bad, but right on the cab. So that was the end of that truck. But before that, I had a guy rebuild the 3406 that was in it, and I made it 70 miles. And I knew it wasn't right when I started it. The oil pressure was lower than it was before I had him rebuild it. And I said to him, I said, "You sure this is right?" "Oh yeah, oh yeah." So I get down exit 3. I think I made it from Enosburg down to exit 3. So it might have been a little further than 70 miles, and it sounded like the crank was going to come undone. Kind of like what this motor sounded like. And come to find out, he didn't do something right when he put the bearings in. So, but of course he wouldn't go good for it. So that truck, I ended up putting an old 3406A in it, which is a 280 horse. real weak motor. Anyways, I'll throw a few pictures of that truck in. I think I might even have a few pictures of the tree sitting on it. I'll see if I can find them and throw them in there. But yeah, and then I had a transmission in another 640 rebuilt, and those transmissions, those power shifts, are great transmissions when they're working, but they're a pain to rebuild. So I had a guy, I took the transmission out, brought it to him, and I had him rebuild it. And I put it back in the skidder, and I didn't even get 2 months out of it. And of course, I took it all apart and brought it back to him, and he didn't want to go good for it. Said it was the fault of the C1, C2 clutch pack that I bought from the place he told me to buy it from, which is PB&H, I think is the name of the company. So he said those were no good, so I ended up paying him again to rebuild the C1, C2. So yeah, that's my experience with professional mechanics. If it doesn't work right, they don't go good for it, but they're glad to take your money. Anyway, that's just a little side rant, I guess. So I don't know if I was able to capture that on camera, but I was able to get that one out, this one right here, by just turning it. When I tried to center punch it, I could see it was starting to move. But this one here, I was trying with a chisel and I couldn't get it to move. So we'll see. We'll try a few more and see what happens. Got that one off center. Well, we're doing something, barely. The thing is hard. Get a little WD-40. Just add some cotton oil. One of the tricks is to keep your bit cool. It's not really a trick, I'm sure everybody knows it. Yeah, I'm sorry, a little bit. Alright, let's try one of these now. Get the number 3 size. We can get it out of here. That one is a little too, we need a bigger one, but well, I'm missing number 4. Let's try number 4 out of this set. Probably should have paid attention to what size bit I was supposed to use. Here's a number 4. Try number 4. Uh-oh, I think it's coming harder than I thought it would. There we go. I have to thread chase that. Boy, that's coming out. There we go. We got that one out. Didn't damage the threads, but they might be damaged. Now that last one. Probably should use vice grips to turn it the other way. Stupid. Huh, not easy. Now here comes the next one. Where'd that little bit go? So we were able to get that one out. Right there. We got just the one more right there. But yeah, we had to use the easy out. There's the piece right there. Didn't drill it in the center. It's hard to get that. The center punch isn't working good. So we got one more. See how that goes. So we got one more left. It's right there, and it's way down in the hole. So we're gonna try drilling without hurting the threads. And see, those holes are bottom holes. They're not through holes. So I don't know if I got a bottoming tap I can chase those threads with. Maybe I'll just try a bolt. Maybe that'll work. But yeah, so I'm gonna try drilling that one, using the easy out again. New bit. Hey, it's going out the wrong way, dude. Look at that. She's coming out with the drill bit. Ha! Nice. So I was able to take it out by putting the drill bit in reverse. All right, we've got them. Now, all in all, that seemed to go better than I thought it would. Here's that one. Barely had to drill in it. And then I started going in reverse with a new bit in it. Backed it right out. So there we are there. There's all of our pieces and parts from the bolts. And that one I drilled all the way through and had to use an easy out. Those two came out just pretty much, they were finger tight. And that one right there, I drilled in part way. This one here. And then I put a new bit in and put the drill in reverse and it backed it right out. So all in all, that went a whole lot easier than I thought it would. I've seen it where it was a nightmare, but at least I didn't put Loctite on those, or and they weren't rusted in there. And then I'm gonna try using a bolt See how the bolts feel in the threads, a new bolt. If not, I might have to get I might have a tap, but I think I got to get a bottoming tap for that, because I don't think a regular tap will do it. I want to chase the threads if the bolts aren't right. But I'm going to also drill a hole while I'm here. See if I can get some of this oil sopped up out of there. Sop some of this up. It's water. It's more water than oil. But yeah, I'm going to drill a hole right down through that and out, because all the water, the way this clutch sits in here is the inspection plate is up top, which is, I don't know, that's pretty stupid if you ask me, but I think it's because the handle has to be on facing up. This handle here for disengaging the clutch is facing up instead of down. So the inspection plate is up top, and then right there you can see the water runs down in there. It's got nowhere to go. And I've had it freeze solid. Couldn't even start it. I think the motor's locked up. But I'm going to drill a hole right straight through that bell housing, and the water will drip out. So maybe I'll do that right now while I got the drill. Cast iron, so that, or cast steel, cast something. It ought to drill better than what I've been drilling. We'll see. Let's try it. There, 1/4 inch hole through. Whew. Don't have any more water problems with that. So there we are there. We got that 1/4 inch hole drilled through there. So that way when the water, if any water gets in there, it'll just leak right back out. Because I've had this thing where it was, must have been half full of water, froze up and locked the engine right up. You have to stick a heater underneath it here to get it to start. But anyway, so I think I'm about done with this for today. I got to, Rob's going to come tomorrow and we're going to put it back together. I don't know how much footage of that I'll get, probably none. And then I'll probably get some footage of moving it around. I got to change some tires on it and get it ready to go down the road. Hopefully this all works out. Well, actually, I'm going to end up trying to put some bolt in them holes and see how the threads feel. Well, I got a bolt here, and we're going to try to chase the threads. That one's good. Oh, that one's got a little binding right there. Uh-oh. That ain't good. There's a little binding there. There we go. Like I said, this isn't a bottoming tap would be more ideal. That thing don't even look like it's going in there straight, does it? What the hell's going on here? I don't know. Back that bag out of there. Might have to re-tap that hole. I have to get a freaking tap for that. Well, it started, so it can't be crooked. A little rust in that hole. Maybe it's just the rust. Let's try this again. Bind's right there. So we're gonna send it and see what happens. Yep. It's a little tight. Well, it tightens up, so that's all good. Doesn't really thread nicely, but it tightens up. That's all that matters. Maybe I'll put Loctite in it this time. I don't know. I'm going to read the book tonight and see what the torque is and what that book recommends. Because that one just don't, I don't know. That one's awful tight. Even going back out, it's tight. So that one was a little tight, but she's got some rust in her. You can see the bolt. She's got some rust in it, so I don't know. It tightens up though and didn't strip, so I guess we're good. So all in all, that went easier than I thought it was gonna. We got the job done for today, and then tomorrow Rob's gonna come and we're gonna put this stuff all back together, I guess. And hopefully fire this thing up and she'll be good to go. We got the guy coming to get the excavator, I think. Yeah, there he is. He's coming for that excavator. Well, that's good anyway. That'll be gone. I won't have to worry about somebody smashing the windows out of it. Well, I'm up here, I don't know, above my house at my other house, and I've got this load of that red pine. This is some of that red pine that was piled up on the landing. There's a guy sawing it out for me, and this is the first load, and I'm gonna dump it out and see what it looks like. I've never really had red pine sawed out before. I think there's some white pine. Look at them 1-inch boards are white pine too, but I've never had red pine sawn out, and I've always had hemlock. But well, I had them saw them full 2x. So there's 2x12s, 2x6s, and then there might be a couple 6x6s or 4x4s, whatever. But yeah, I wanted full 2x lumber instead of 1 7/8. I hate that 1 7/8. It's all right, I guess, with hemlock or spruce, but red pine, I don't think it's as strong. So anyway, I'm gonna get this started up and try dumping this out. We'll see how that goes. Well, change of plans. You see how this truck's sitting on this little side bank here? It's kind of tilted this way. Well, all the fuel is in this tank now. And this has happened to me before, and that's why when I walked over to start it, I decided I better check. But yeah, this has happened to me before. So all the fuel's in this tank. So now I'm gonna have to get some fuel, bring it up here. Just look at this, it's empty in this tank. I don't know if you can see down in there, probably not, but I think she's empty. So if I start it, since it seems to draw its fuel out of this little tank, I don't know why. So it's done this to me before, that's how I know. So if I start it, it'll run out of fuel. Then it'll be a bear to get it primed, because a little hand primer pump ain't none too good on this old DT. So I guess we're not gonna dump this wood out tonight. I'm gonna get some fuel and bring it up, and yeah, anyway, so I'll do this tomorrow. So it's December now, and I'm finally getting around to making the video about this and wrenching on the loader and all that. I ended up fixing that log loader, but it's still sitting at the job. We never got it back over here, and we kind of run into winter. But this thing right here, I did end up getting it fixed, but it was a real nightmare. And I didn't get much video of it. I didn't really get any, because I fixed it at different times and kind of sat up there in the way for probably 2 months. And I ended up getting it fixed though, and the problems was worse than I'd originally thought. So that right there is the new cover that I got, and I figured out I don't have a lot in the parts. I think I got 800 or 900 in the parts total, but I went to Eddie Nash's, and I don't know if any of you guys are from around here, but if you logged around here, then you know who Eddie Nash is. Well, Eddie is dead, but I think his daughter runs it. Anyway, it's called Nash Equipment, and back in the day I bought a skidder there, but yeah, that's a story for another video. But so I ended up going up there because this is a planetary reducer, same as a Timberjack. It's a PR75. It's a Rockwell planetary reducer, and so that is the cover, and the planet gears and all that are the same, but the bowl gear off of this thing was different than on the Timberjack. It was a it was a fine spline, because see, this thing had worse problems than I thought. Not only was the planetary bad, and it was every part of it was bad. The sun gear wasn't even any good. Well, both the bearings were bad. The axle bearings. I mean, the rollers were falling out of them. Somebody must have run this thing with no oil in it, and then let it sit for probably 10 years, because everything was rusted. So these are Rockwell axles. They're steerable, and so they got a shaft, and there's universal joint right in here, and then so the shaft goes through the spindle, so you can see down there the spindle down there. So the shaft goes through the spindle. Well, in the spindle to support the shaft is a brass bushing, and when I got that all tore apart, and there's a seal on the back side of the spindle, so the fluid, the gear oil goes, you know, it's all in the planetary, and it's with the bearings and everything. Then it goes into the spindle to lubricate where the shaft rides on that brass bushing. So that bushing was totally destroyed, and it had actually eaten into the bore of the spindle, had made it egged out anyway, so it was no good. Where the bushing, where the brass bushing is pressed in the spindle, the spindle was no good. So I couldn't get the right bushing. I ordered 2 bushings from Pettibone. Neither one was the right one, and couldn't find it. It's an 1 7/8" shaft, which is, I guess, not as common as some. So I ended up going to a machine shop, and they took one of the bushings that Pettibone sent me, which were their oil light, which is a bronze that's infused with oil, I guess. And they took one of those bushings and turned it down to fit a sleeve so it could fit in the spindle where the, you know, in a different spot where the spindle was still totally round. So I ended up doing that and getting a different seal and putting that seal in a different place in that spindle. But what I really should have done was had the spindle bored out a little bigger to get it, you know, to get it back to round, and then had a bushing made to fit in the correct spot so I could use the correct seal. But anyways, it went back together. The bushing that they made for me was just a little tight, and it kind of went back together hard, but I guess it's better tight than loose. But I got it all back together and moved it down here. It's gonna sit down here for the winter because winter's on us and I don't have a shop, and so I'm probably not going to get it finished till spring. But at least it's I can move it around. Everything else seems to go good, but the leak on the boom, which I wasn't able to fix yet. So that's the update on this. And you know, throughout this whole ordeal, once I was needing this bushing, you know, if I had a lathe, I would have had a bushing. I would have made my bushing. So at the same time, I was trying to find a shop to turn the bushing, which, you know, we don't have any shops left up here really that do that kind of like job shops. The last one was a guy named Mitchell, and he was in St. Albans, and I think he died 4 or 5 years ago, and nobody, you know, took over the shop. So I had to go way to Barry to Desertals to get that bushing made. But if I'd have had a lathe, I could have turned that bushing out of brass, because I ordered a piece of brass from McMaster Car, and brass is not cheap. But I could have turned that bushing myself and had this back together quite a lot sooner. So anyway, I've went ahead and bought a lathe, and I haven't got it set up. I don't really have anywhere for it. I might put it in there. I don't know, that's like an old suite. They used to have a bed and breakfast here years ago when this place was in nicer shape, but that was probably 20 years ago. So it's like a suite in there, and this whole part of the house is in rough shape. It was an old barn, and they, you know, they converted it into living space at some point. But I'm thinking about putting it in there for now. But we'll go up and take a quick look at it. It's in the back of my truck, and take a look at it, and then yeah, I'll throw this stuff in the video just so we can kind of conclude the story of the Pettibone for this year. So anyway, because of that whole thing with the bushing on the Pettibone, I had started looking for a lathe more seriously. You know, I've been wanting one, but I didn't really have a place. And all the auctions I go to, they got fairly big lathes. And anyway, so I looked on Craigslist, and I saw this lathe. This is an old Seneca Falls Star. It's a 9-inch, and I don't know, I think this thing was built in the late 1800s, early 1900s. You know, some people that do machining for a living are probably going to laugh, and I don't blame them. I mean, it's not going to be a fast lathe, and who knows how accurate it is. I hope it's accurate. But anyway, the guy had it, and he wanted like $550 for it. So I give him $550. It come with you know, a bunch of stuff, all the gears for the threading, some collet closer, well, the steady rest, another tailstock, but I don't know if that tailstock even goes with it, and a 4-jaw and a 3-jaw, and a backing plate there. Some of that stuff looks a little rough, but I don't know. He said the 3-jaw was all right, but the 4-jaw needs to do jaws. But anyway, so I picked this up, and I'm gonna throw it in that old bed and breakfast. And he gave me this old drill press. It's I don't know, I guess I'm a junk collector, but anyways, that's an old, I don't know, Delta Milwaukee. And so I guess it's an old Milwaukee. He had it kicking around. He was gonna scrap it, and I said, well, I don't want to see that go to the scrap. So I took it. It's like a benchtop drill press, but looks like it doesn't have a spindle in it or whatever. Well, it just needs a chuck, I think. But and the hand, look, somebody's put some weird handles on it. I don't know. I didn't even really look at it. Just threw it in the truck. If it's free, it's for me. But anyway, so yeah, this is the lathe. It's you know, it's like old gears back here. You got to change the gears depending on if you know what threads you want to cut. It's got a 220 I don't know, like half horse or something motor. I might change that, I don't know. But you know, he said it was, he's always treated, it said it had been in his family forever. Looks like he put a quick change tool holder or whatever on there. And I don't know, look, there's, these didn't usually come with a threading dial, but looks like somebody might have put one on this one. I don't know, I've never turned a part in my life, but next time I need a brass bushing, I'm gonna make it myself. So anyways, that's just a, I don't know. One thing about this stuff, you know, a lot of people would look at that and say, what do you want that old piece of junk for? But this thing is, you know, it kind of helps you. It gives you options. And, you know, these, being self-sufficient is good. Because, you know, if you got to depend on somebody to make something for you, and then there's nobody that makes stuff anymore. You know, I don't even know what happened to all the little shops. It must be there wasn't enough business and they all closed up. Or I don't know, people just didn't, the next, well, my generation, it would be, didn't take up to manual machining and job shop work. And I don't know what happened. But, you know, there's, if you got something like this and you need, when you need a little part, you can make it yourself. That's freedom. And you don't have to depend on somebody else and wait, and you know, that's just, so I'm going to be getting some more stuff. I'm going to be getting mills, probably more lathes. I got a couple other drill presses. I got a tool cutter grinder. Don't even know how to use it, but I got it. But yeah, that's just a show this lathe, and maybe I'll get it running at some point and make a video. Probably be how not to machine video, but anyway. Well, anyway, yeah, and so this whole lathe here, you know, some people might laugh, say, what do you want that old piece of junk for? But, you know, when I needed that bushing, and I couldn't find one, couldn't buy one, there was nobody around here to make one, it's kind of like a feeling of helplessness. You know what I mean? It's like one little part was holding up the project, this thing's sitting in the middle of my driveway, can't find the part, you know, and I just don't like that feeling. I like to be able to help myself whenever possible. Don't depend on others. Help yourself. That's the way I look at it. Anyway, so, I don't know. That concludes this video anyway. I had some different mechanicing stuff I threw in there. It's, you know, some of the footage is pretty old. You know, October, late October. But I don't got time to make regular videos. You know, I'm busy. I got a lot of other things to do. But I did end up picking up a log job, I believe. It's a state job. I bid on a state job. I won the bid. I'm not sure if I'm going to do it this year or not, but I think so. So hopefully we'll be back to having some logging videos. And anyways, well, thanks for watching. And I got some footage from a trip I did to Maine. And I'll probably make a video of that. So maybe that'll be in a week or so. But anyways, thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.